When will we see the 76ers big three on the court together? Well, it's still going to be a while. Now Tyrese Maxey down due to an injury. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel, our fast-growing 100% independent NBA channel. Joined by Donnie Freeman. Donnie, the 76ers, man, they can't catch a break. You've got the Joel Embiid situation. Right when he's ready to return, he gets suspended. Paul George finally gets back on the court, looks pretty good, and now they're losing Tyrese Maxey. They just can't seem to get things together here in Philly.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy just the way that all these things are stacking together for them to start the season. But the saving grace is that it is a long season, so hopefully at some point things all come together for them, and ideally at the right time.
Well, so here's what's going on. According to Shams Charania, the Philadelphia 76ers star Tyrese Maxey is expected to miss a couple of weeks because of a right hamstring injury. Full evaluation coming later Thursday, but sides are bracing for Maxey's absence. The Sixers will take a careful approach with the injury. So Maxey has had to do the heavy lifting for the 76ers while Paul George has been out at the start of the season. He's now back, but also Joel Embiid out, and he'll be out for 2 more games now due to his suspension. This is tough sledding for the Sixers. And if you look at the Eastern Conference, it's getting to be, look, it's the East, and so it's more forgiving, of course, than the Western Conference, but it still can't be reassuring for Sixers fans to look and see that their team right now is sitting on the bottom of the East at just 1-6 with a minus 8.6 point differential. And now you're going to be without Tyrese Maxey, who is your best shot at winning games. So they've got 2 games now with just Paul George. They've had most of the season so far with just Tyrese Maxey. This is rough for Philly, and I would say this is why I didn't have Philly as one of the top teams in the East when the dust all settles, because once Maxey comes back, who else is going to go out? Paul George and Joel Embiid are known for missing games. This is why I don't think Philly finishes in the upper tier in the Eastern Conference.
Well, with the caveat that, the upper tier of the East is what, 2 spots at this point. So
sure.
I don't know. But yeah, I think you're pretty spot on with that. I do, like I said, think that there's a ton of time for them to rebound, but they've got to be able to do that. They're going to have to rip off a run at some point with all their guys healthy, but the odds of all their guys being healthy at the same time is looking pretty slim. Joel is supposedly, quotes up, coming back or ready to play now. Remember we talked about that, and it was like, are they just going to declare him ready to go just so the timer starts? Like, just so it starts, and they did, right? So, like, it's pretty funny. I don't know how eligible he is to play or how things are going to look for him when he comes back. Is he going to be playing on a heavy minutes restriction? PG is back. Probably. They've lost a couple of games with him out there. The thing with Maxey is that he was playing 40 minutes per night, putting up 23 shots, and I just don't like that. I feel like there was too much of a burden on him to start this season, and ultimately it's only been, less than 10 games, but that could wear on you, when you have to put up with that type of attention and put up that many shots and stuff. So definitely very unfortunate for these guys here. And Maxey, he wasn't shooting great, but he had such attention on him that I don't really hold it against him. But yeah, gonna definitely be some rocky going for them for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, look, Maxey, out of their games played so far, 5 of the 7, Tyrese Maxey has been their high scorer. So, and now he's out. And you look at the schedule ahead, you've got the Lakers on Friday, you've got the Hornets on Sunday. Okay, maybe you could still get a win against the Hornets. Now, that will also be a Joel Embiid-less game. He is not eligible to play in that one. He missed last night's game against the Clippers. He misses tomorrow night's game against the Lakers. He'll have to miss Sunday's game against the Hornets. So no Embiid, no Maxey against the Hornets. Then look, oh my God, the Knicks, the Cavs, the Magic, the Heat, the Grizzlies. Donnie, I don't know if I see a win in there. If Maxey is out, even with Embiid back, Embiid comes back for New York, but New York, Cleveland, I guess Orlando, because they're missing Paulo Banchero. Maybe that's a win. I don't see them beating the Knicks or the Cavs without Maxey now. And who knows, like you said, what level Joel Embiid will be at. Is he going to be playing 20 minutes? Is he going to be playing 35 minutes? What is that going to look like coming off of an injury situation? So I think it may wind up getting worse here before it gets better for the 76ers.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. If they're going to win any of those games, they're going to need Joel to really be Joel, which, like I speculated, I'm not sure how he'll be. Also, maybe PG ramps up a little bit here after a couple of games. But yeah, it's going to be really, really tough for them to start stringing together some wins. But like I said, they put a lot of pressure on their young star guard, and unfortunately, he wound up getting hurt. But another thing about this roster, too, is that they've got a lot of guys that are either older or have dealt with injury issues in the past. So I'm not so sure about that piece of it, too. And they're relying a lot on offense from guys like Kelly Oubre, who's been giving it to them. But I'm just questioning whether or not that's going to be something that's consistent for them. They're going to really be leaning a lot on guys like Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry, I believe, is on the roster too. So they're going to be trying to lean on some of these guys to replace the production. But simply put, Maxey is a force basically to himself, putting up 28 points per game, playing 40 minutes, putting up 23 shots. I mean, these guys can't replicate that. So I don't really know what they can do.
So I do wonder now with the Sixers. Again, it's the Eastern Conference. But assuming that this is a rough stretch for them coming up, at 1-6, they've dug themselves a bit of a hole here that they're going to have to dig out of. What's the ceiling for this team now in terms of the stand? Because look, we can say it's early, and that's true. And you can go on a winning streak, and it's not the West. Teams will lose games around you. It's not like the West where teams just keep winning and winning and winning and winning. And so it's hard to make up ground. You'll have opportunities to make up ground. But what do you think realistically in the standings is the ceiling right now for the 76ers, knowing that we are probably going to be, I mean, let's be real, we're probably talking 20 games into the season almost before we see the big three on the floor together. That's my guess in terms of how long. Maybe it's 15 games, but a good chunk of the season in before we see the big three on the floor together.
So if the East continues to be the spot where the third seed is a 500 team or the other teams are below 500, if that doesn't normalize in a big way, then I would say that their ceiling is probably somewhere around 4 or 5. But if it does normalize what you'd expect to where these have to be winning teams to a good degree, then they're probably in the play-in at this point. But they're going to be playing against some of these guys pretty consistently. That's the benefit to playing in the Eastern Conference, where the bottom is so low, because you can play Detroit 3 to 4 times a year. Despite them being feisty, they're still somebody you'd expect to try to win against. You can play the Wizards 3 to 4 times a year. And so with 60 games remaining, they may be able to rip off, 10 of their last 12 games or something like that. And that puts you right back in the thick of it in the East. That's the point too. So I do think, like I said a couple times, that they'll have to rebound, and they probably will rebound in a big way to being a team that's somewhere in that playoff picture in general.
So when I'm looking at what they're going to do now without Maxey, I think it's going to, the burden based on the minutes allocation in the last night's game against the Clippers. Kyle Lowry, obviously he was 0 for 3. And then you have Reggie Jackson. These are two veteran players. We do see sometimes where a veteran player, a guy who's a little long in the tooth, can for a short period turn it on. Can Kyle Lowry be Kyle Lowry again every single night? No, those days are long gone. But could he do it for 2-3 games? And is that enough? Maybe. I think that is probably the best shot here for the Sixers, is that you hope that at least one of Eric Gordon, Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry can turn back the clock, and you hope that they stagger it so that on any given night you get one of those guys having a turn back the clock performance, and those guys, while they still, even if they have a turn back, they can't replace Max. Maxey is phenomenal, but that you can in some ways weather the storm. I think that's the best bet in terms of the guard position for the 76ers, to get at least one of those three guys to have a moment of clarity, to be feeling good, the back's not hurting, the knees aren't aching, and they wind up putting up a good performance. That is, I think, the best chance here for the 76ers to, again, not replace Maxey, but maybe survive without Maxey.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I was looking at it, and I'll tell you, I had no idea Reggie Jackson was already 34, by the way. He is definitely older than I thought. I thought he was closer to 30. So they have some old guys back there at 34, 35. I think Lowry's 35 38, something like that. They've got some old guys they're going to try to rely on, which is a stark contrast to speedy young Maxey playing back there. So just the team will look different. But I mean, if Embiid comes back, if Paul George is able to, I don't know, get up more than 9 shots in a game, they may be all right here. It just depends on competition. But for the immediate future, with a couple of weeks without Maxey, with some tougher competition, they'll probably go in a bit of a slide for sure here.
Yeah.
Unless Embiid comes out like gangbusters, that is.
All right. So we'll keep an eye on the Sixers. Obviously, one of the teams that was predicted to be potentially the team to come out of the Eastern Conference, but they're in trouble right now. Again, still sitting on the bottom of the conference, looking up, and now without Tyrese Maxey, their big three, it's going to be a little while until we see them actually out there on the floor. Everybody give us your thoughts. Where do you think the Sixers actually finish in the standings when the dust all settles? Personally, I'm going to say they finish in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. Donnie, where would you go?
I'll agree with you. I think about 6.
Okay. 6 it is. Everybody let us know in the comment section whether or not you agree, and don't forget to subscribe.